Hey guys, Trent here from the hot seat. I wanted to do a little video, a little different than how I normally do them. I normally do these pretty scripted during the day, good lighting, and obviously I'm busy tomorrow and most of the next day because of Christmas. So I decided, let's just kind of record this, get some mood lighting, set the mood a little bit, and do something a little fun since we don't really have any games. I know there's a couple bowl games going on. I know UNLV is playing Ohio right now. Ohio, I think, actually is winning. Let me just check in on that. Yes, Ohio is actually dominating, which is good because I like Ohio, but I did pick UNLV. So, but I wanted to do a video on almost like an all-American team for the quarterfinals, power rankings of the best at every single position. And I made a little graphic, which is cool. So let me just jump over to that so you guys have something to look at. So this is kind of the graphic. I think I have a better version of this. Second monitor, no. There we go. That looks a little better with all the little graphic thing at the bottom. But this is kind of just if you were to draft who is the best at every single position, what I would do. So let's just start ahead and talk about kind of going through and how kind of my decision between a lot of these people. So first off is quarterback with Fernando Mendoza. Obviously, I could have picked a couple guys here. Obviously, this is only for the remaining 8 teams in the quarterfinals. I thought about Dante Moore. I honestly like I like Dante Moore maybe a little bit more than Fernando. I would also consider putting Julian, but Fernando's 2-0 versus Ohio State and Oregon, and he's the Heisman winner. So, might as well just put him there. At running back is Kewan Lacey from Ole Miss. I would say one of the most underrated running backs in the country. He has, I think, 21 touchdowns. I have to look up all these stats because it's a little bit unscripted, but, a little more authentic, I guess. Yeah, so he has 273 carries. That is third in the country. 1,366 yards, 6th in the country, and 21 touchdowns. He only has 5 yards a carry, which is 128th. So maybe he's a product of the offense and the amount of carries. 273 is, that is insane. But yeah, he's only a sophomore too. Obviously, Lane Kiffin has very productive offenses, and people talk about his air attack. But if you look at his run game, we're talking about Quinshon Judkins being the best running back in the SEC for 2 years in a row. And then I don't remember really what last year was for them, but then this year having Kewan Lacey, who's the best running back in the playoffs. I will say running back actually is kind of an interesting position group for this playoff because, it's a lot of young guys. If you look at the best 3 running backs in the playoff, in the quarterfinals, or even the playoffs before the first round, it's like Bo Jackson, freshman out of Ohio State, Kewan Lacey, true sophomore from Ole Miss, De'Aaron Hill, freshman from Oregon, and obviously Mark Fletcher, who I think is also a freshman. Let me see what his stats are. I think he is a freshman. Oh, no, he's a junior. I don't know why I thought he was. Yeah. So Mark Fletcher is pretty good too. I would probably put him second, and then maybe Bo Jackson third. I think Bo Jackson has a chance to be. We're talking. He could be the best running back in the country next year. He's a little bit slower, but his balance is insane. So, let's start off with receiver. So you see right here on the left side of the graphic, obviously Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate are the number 1 and number 2 receivers, I think, in the country. Obviously, guys like Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, who won the Biletnikoff, which is so stupid. If you take Carnell Tate or Jeremiah off of Ohio State and just have one of those two, whoever gets that is the most stats, and they win the Biletnikoff. Biletnikoff. Since they're on the same team, they get treated like. I want, if you go to every voter and say, who would you rather have, Jeremiah Smith or Mekhi Lemon, they would all say Jeremiah Smith. But how I did this was kind of just drafting receivers. It's not so like at the slot receiver, just the third receiver, I had Elijah Surratt from Indiana. Obviously, he is not. I'm not gonna pick. It's not like Ohio State's third receiver versus Indiana's who has the best slot receiver. It is just drafting the best three receivers. So it would be, since I've already used Ohio State's first two receivers, it would be like Indiana's first receiver versus Ohio State's third, or Indiana versus Alabama's for like Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, or whatever. So the best receivers I think are Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, then third Elijah Surratt. Tight end Sadiq. I actually think Sadiq is the best tight end in the country, which is, I mean, you had the guy from Houston, you had Eli Stowers out of Vanderbilt, Max Clare out of Purdue, transferred to Ohio State. But Sadiq, I mean, he's just like a big receiver. He's literally they treat him like a big receiver. Oregon their receivers are big, but their tight ends are faster. They're all like, their receivers are tight ends and their tight ends are receivers. It's pretty cool. And then finishing out for the offensive line, I'm gonna lie, I did kind of forget some of these guys' name. So Francis McGoy, he's probably the number one guy out of this offensive line. But he is stationed at right tackle instead of left tackle, so I just put him at right. And then the guy from Indiana, left tackle, I forget his name. Carter Smith. He's like a 95 overall in college football 26, and that's actually something I kind of it wasn't the biggest thing. All of it was stats, but especially for like the linemen who don't have stats, or that are not really listed super publicly, a lot of it was kind of like, what's their weight, what's their height, what year are they, and what is their rating on college football 26? And Carter Smith is like a 95 overall. For center is it Tui from Oregon Ducks center. Poncho, yeah, Labubu. I'm gonna call him Labubu. Oregon center Labubu. Is, I think, this in the playoff. If we're talking about like the country, you have the guy from Florida. Oh my god, I just blanked on his name. Oh my god, what's his name? Jake Slaughter. I didn't have to look it up. Jake Slaughter. Left guard from Oregon, and then right guard from Bama. That is actually the only Bama player on this. Jaden Roberts, I think. Yeah, Jaden Roberts. And which is surprising because Bama does have they're one of the most talented rosters. But just like, I look at their key position groups, like, I don't think LT Overton is better than the guys on here. I don't think Ty Simpson is better than Fernand. I don't think Ryan Williams or Jeremy Bernard are better than Surratt, Jeremiah, or Carnell. So, yeah, so Bama, and I honestly, even that right guard, I kind of snuck him in a little bit. Like, I could have picked other guys too. But, yeah, that finished out the offense. For defense, so we'll start with cornerback. I did D'Angelo Ponce. I mean, I'm trying to think, is there, in the entire country, is there a better cornerback than D'Angelo Ponce? The only problem with D'Angelo Ponce is he's just really short. I think he's 5'11". But, I mean, he is, I wouldn't say he put clamps on Jeremiah, because Jeremiah kind of went crazy on him a little bit. But he is able to he's a very, very good cornerback. Even last year, when Ohio State beat up on Indiana, D'Angelo Ponce really kind of put Jeremiah in check. Second, and a lot of things with defense, I especially with the Ohio State guys, you can kind of like rotate them. Like, for the second corner, that could be Davidson Igbinosun or Jermaine Matthews. I honestly think Jermaine's better, but Igbinosun has played better in the Big Ten Championship than Jermaine, so you could say either flip-flop. I don't really care, but just one of those two. And then the third guy is the guy from Georgia. What was his name? Let me look at Georgia's roster. Let's see if I can recognize the name. I did all of this last night. I just don't really remember which one he was. Maybe it was Maurice Haynes. No, it was Dalen Everett. I remember now. Dalen Everett. He was the guy picked. He's a good corner. Defensive line. So with right and left end, I couldn't remember if it's right end the right and left is from the perspective of like this view, or if it's from the perspective of the defense, which would be flipped, like right end would be on the left because it's like you're flipped on your point of view. So I don't really know for that one. So I just put Ruben Bain at left edge. I think he might be a right edge. I just put him at left edge. I think he is probably the best edge rusher in the country. Obviously, there's a lot of other talented guys. Even Ohio State has a lot of good guys. Georgia has a lot of good guys. LT Overton from Bama. Dennis Sutton from Penn State. I think he's an edge. He might also be a linebacker, outside linebacker. He could be. I don't remember. They flip-flop him a lot. Really trying to TJ Parker. I think actually he's a defensive tackle, but Clemson has a bunch of guys. LSU has some good guys. So there's a lot of, but I think just Ruben Bain is an absolute game wrecker. At defensive tackle, I had Caden McDonald from Ohio State, the defensive tackle. Coming into the season for Ohio State, let's give you a little insider since I'm an Ohio State fan. The interior of the defensive line, really coming into the season, Ohio State's defense was like a concern. It wasn't necessarily a question. It was a concern. We lost our coordinator. We lost all our starters. And then we got real lucky that everybody behind them was just like phenomenal. Caden Curry, I'm not going to say he's better than Jack Sawyer. He's more productive. I feel like he's more consistent than Jack Sawyer. Caden McDonald, who was the second defensive tackle behind Edric. Remember, it was Edric Houston. He's the big dog, and everything else behind him we're concerned about. But if you remember in the Penn State game last year, in 24, on that goal line stand when Penn State was trying to tie it in the fourth quarter at like 8 minutes left, I think it was either Ty League or Ty Hamilton. One of those guys went down. I think it was Ty Hamilton. He went down. They brought in Caden McDonald for stopping the run because they really trust him. And now we're seeing it because there's been a lot of questions about Larry Johnson recently in the past couple of years, especially last year. But he has risen from a nobody. Really, there's a lot of this defense is a bunch of nobodies, and he has become maybe the number one nose tackle in the draft. We're talking first round talent. And I absolutely love Caden McDonald. I think his personality is phenomenal. I think he is one of the most sweetest. He's so fun to watch. But he's also phenomenal. Also, Edric, really, not how the season he's really won. He's kind of rotating snaps. He's kind of been injured a couple times. And Tywone Malone has really stepped up a lot. Remember the Illinois game, the ballerina at the goal line. The other defensive tackle I did from Georgia. Let me find I just want to make sure I say his name right. I think it was London Seymour. No, it was Christian Miller. I think it was Christian Miller. Yeah, I remember now. Christian Miller from Georgia. The defensive tackle. I just want to make sure. Maybe I think I got it right. And then the last guy was David Bailey from Texas Tech. I remember around the halfway. I think this was after the BYU game. Remember the first one? That was when game day was at. It was a blowout. There at some point, I remember exactly what week, but there was almost more talk about like David Bailey than Jacob Rodriguez. But David Bailey is, a freak, and him and Rodriguez, and even the other Texas Tech linebacker who had like 3 turnovers in the second BYU game. They are just a defensive turnover nightmare. But here, hold on. So that's how I pick. Linebacker again for Ohio State, and I think actually Ohio State has the most players on here. You could rotate this, to be honest. Honestly, if you're asking me from an NFL draft model, I would say Ohio State has the best 2 linebackers, Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles. But Jacob Rodriguez, just with the amount of stats that he has, and obviously his story and everything about him, I had to throw him in there. And I was like, you know what, you rotate Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles, because Sonny Styles is more of a run stopper. Arvell Reese is more of a pass rusher. Sonny's probably a more drop. They can both kind of drop back and cover. I think Sonny's a little bit better. But I mean, those two are just phenomenal. And then obviously, maybe the best player on this list, aside from Jeremiah Smith, is Caleb Downs, the safety from Ohio State. Honestly, I mean, you could throw Caleb Downs at literally any position on here aside from defensive tackle. And I mean, let's say like you want to place Caleb Downs at free safety or strong safety, he would be on this list. Throw him at cornerback, he would probably be on this list. Throw him at edge rush, he would probably be on this. Throw him at linebacker, he would 100. I mean, he practically is a linebacker. But yeah, Caleb Downs, and then the last guy was Dylan Thieneman, the transfer from Purdue, the Oregon safety. Honestly, you could say that both these guys are strong safeties and not free safeties, but I really don't care. Caleb Downs can play anything. Throw Dylan Thieneman at strong safety, throw Caleb at free safety, whatever. I don't really care. But yeah, I try to get every team represented, at least one player in here, because I think they deserve that. Really, everyone, it was pretty easy for everybody. The only one was Bama. It was kind of hard to find. So I was like, okay, Bama, I'll give you your right guard. But Ohio State has the most with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 22. I think Oregon is second with 4. Actually, they're tied with Indiana. Indiana has 4, Oregon has 4, so that's 2 and 3. Georgia and Tech are tied at 2. Miami also has 2, and then Bama has 1, and Ole Miss also has 1. I just thought this would be a fun video to do. I'm actually, let me know down, I don't know if anyone's still watching this point, because this is kind of a different type of video than most of my content, and I don't really know how much YouTube's going to promote this. But if you are here, still here, let me know down in the comments what you think of this graphic, because I really like this, and I'm thinking about using this as a template for my head-on-head predictions, especially for the playoff. Like I did one for Ohio State Miami, where it's kind of the best position that who has who won. I actually think it's pretty cool. So I'm thinking about bringing this back, and I think it can add an element of like just, more like eye candy for you guys to watch to kind of keep you guys entertained, because I know maybe looking at my face for 30 minutes isn't the best. But yeah, let me know in the comments below. We are trying to get to 100 subs before the end of the playoff. So if you want to help us reach it, that would be amazing. Leave me a comment down below. Who do you think has the best roster talent in the current playoff, of the 18 playoff? Is it Ohio State? Is it Bama? Is it Georgia? Oregon? I think you can make a case for a lot of those guys, maybe even Indiana, which I don't agree with, but you can make that argument if you wanted. But yeah, just let me know down in the comments below. And remember, hit the like button. I think YouTube promotes the videos more often when you hit the like button. And then the currency on YouTube is subscription. So it would honestly be amazing if you guys could subscribe if you haven't already. But yeah, that is all I have for you guys tonight. I thought this would be a lot more like a chill video, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Maybe I'll think about doing some of this more again, where it's kind of just me kind of rambling stuff off the top of my head, and I'm not looking at my notes, and it's not big planned. But yeah, just let me know down in the comments below, and I'll try to respond to all of you. But until then, I'll try to get back to you during I think maybe I'll post a couple shorts about some of the bowl games that are happening. But until then, I'll see you guys all later, and as always, of course, thank you.